the rainbow where we drink till that past 2. Nothing could go wrong anytime that I'm with you. Like crashing in a hotel room, leading up to that first kiss. Searching for a high school that we know didn't exist. These are the things that make me free.
Hey, little fun fact. Remember this video I made a while back? It was in response to this guy. Well, guess who made the video I'm responding to today? Same guy. Everyone pretend to be surprised.
Hello, konnichiwa, marhaba. If we haven't met before, I'm Speedo, and welcome to my channel.
And I'm Joe from Seattle. Welcome to my channel. This is Joe from... Whoops, I moved the mic. And welcome, I'm to Joe from Seattle. Fuck.
Today, I'll answer the question, should you buy The Last of Us Part 2 in 2021?
I mean, the better question is, should you have bought it in 2020, really?
I will discuss what is great about the game, what is terrible about the game, and then tell you whether you should buy the game or not.
And since this video is being made by the same guy who I had to do a, 40 minute response to breaking down his horrible console over PC points, you can already start filling out your bingo card of what points he's going to go over here. Part 5 million of I don't care if you actually like The Last of Us 2, but this is just another example of how horribly some people defend this game. If you have legitimate defenses of this game or you legitimately like Last of Us 2, by all means, like it. I don't give a shit. But what I do give a shit about is people telling you that you should buy this game at full price in 2021, or that it's the fucking best game ever, it's one of the best games ever made, and that you're wrong for not thinking it's one of the best games ever made, and then they just don't defend those points at all. But don't worry, this will all become clear in a matter of minutes.
There are timestamps in the video description so you can use them for your convenience. If you constantly need help with purchasing decisions in the gaming world and you want to hear me talk about other gaming related stuff, consider subscribing and clicking the bell so you don't miss anything.
First of all, do not go to this guy for any buying opinions at all. And second of all, can we play that part again?
Gaming related stuff, consider subscribing and clicking the bell so you don't miss anything.
Yeah, I'm super gonna take you seriously when you can't do basic audio mixing. Like, why was the bell 7 times louder than your voice? The great. Okay, so we're starting off with the great. So that means the stuff that you're going to talk about, you should go into really good detail of like why it's so much better than everything else everywhere else. You know, we're going to talk a lot about how great this game is, right? You're going to give me examples and reasons why this game is so great, right?
Now let us start with what is great about the game, and don't forget that this game was the Game of the Year 2020, which means that there's a huge list of great things to talk about.
Oh my god, if you're still taking the Game Awards seriously in 2020, just fucking pack it up. Start over. You already messed up way too hard here. In case you forgot, this is the panel of judges for the Game Awards. Like, this is the panel of people who decide who wins what. The Game Awards is just a giant circle jerk for industry elites. And I know I sound like a fucking Fox News host when I say that, but like, tell me I'm wrong. The Game Awards is for people in the industry, hosted by people in the industry. If you take what they say seriously, you're an idiot. Some of the best games of 2020 didn't win any awards.
So forgive me if I miss a couple of things, because there are too many good things to talk about. This is where the comment section comes in handy, so you guys leave a comment if you want to.
Yeah, the comment section. Speaking of the comment section, he says leave a comment if you want to, but let's take a look at your comment section. 3,300 views, 6 comments. 3,300 views, 6 comments. And of those 6 comments, there's actually only 2. And then the other 4 are just responses, 2 of which are from you. I don't know where your views are coming from, and I don't know why you're getting 3,300 views on a video on a contentious topic with 6 comments. And just for reference here, let's take a look at how many comments some of my videos get. It ranges depending on the topic, but for a video with around 3,300 views, I would expect at least a few dozen comments, especially when you're praising The Last of Us 2 as hard as you're about to. I'm not going to call you dishonest just yet, but the only reason I'm not calling you dishonest is because I can't definitively prove it.
Now let's talk about the graphics of the game. There are lots of amazing details in the game, like the facial expressions when characters are doing their dialogue, and there's this amazing cable animation, and the way that the characters react when you shine the light on their face, along with the huge list of things that are highly detailed.
For starters, you said we're going to talk about graphics, but then you started talking about animations, which is not graphics. Like, you say you're going to praise the graphics, and there's all these little details in like the actual visuals, which is graphics, but then you start talking about the cable model, and like the physics of the cable model, that's not graphics. You talk about the characters reacting to light being shown to them, that's not graphics, that's just AI behavior. But second of all, by this logic, any highly detailed game deserves a whole bunch of praise. And the thing is, Last of Us 2 is an immensely detailed game. I will never take that away from Naughty Dog. The level of detail in Last of Us 2 is fucking incredible. I will give them that. But if this is how you're starting off the great section, if this is how you're starting off your review for a video game, that's not a good thing. What did I say in that Madden video not too long ago? Fun fact, if a professional game critic talks about the visuals and presentation and new non-gameplay related things of your game, like that's the only thing that they harp on is the non-gameplay related things, it means your gameplay sucks.
These details make this game feel extremely realistic. There's an entire video that showcases the attention of detail that went into the game, and I highly suggest that you check out that video. Link in the description.
Yes, Naughty Dog put too much time into the details.
With this awesome combination of amazing graphics and awesome animations, you end up with a game that looks and feels like it's the game from the next generation, which is also mind-blowing considering that it's running on hardware that came out back in 2013.
I mean, it is kind of impressive that you're getting this kind of visual fidelity out of the PS4, but when the game starts moving and you're only hitting 30 frames per second, is it really a next-gen game?
So the environment looks stunning, and every place you visit has a level of detail that is believable. So when you visit an old abandoned hotel, you start to imagine how this hotel used to look like before the breakout. When you visit a hospital, you start to imagine how this hospital used to operate back in the day. And the list just goes on and on and on and on.
And again, not to take away from the amount of detail in this game, because there is an incredible amount of detail in this game. I say it again, if you're harping on the graphics and the presentation of a video game, and that's like the main crux of your argument as to why the game is good, that means there's a problem. Some of the best games ever made were not very graphically detailed, and some of the worst games ever made looked incredible. Graphics and presentation should come second to the actual gameplay and fun factor of a video game. This really should not be controversial. Now, can good graphics and good presentation enhance an already great game? Yes, absolutely. But if the game isn't fun, and nobody wants to keep playing it, no one is going to care how detailed it is. The PS4 had a lot of games like this, actually, looking back at it. There was The Last of Us 2, looked fucking incredible, so much detail, didn't actually want to finish it. The Order 1886 looks amazing. Holy shit, how did they make The Order look that good? At least, you know, the first hour or so, because that's as much as I could stomach of it. Oh, great, so we're actually going to talk about the gameplay here. Sick, let's take a really deep dive into what makes the gameplay so good. Go for it.
Now, in terms of gameplay, the gameplay might seem very similar to the original game, which it is to some extent.
To some extent? No, to every extent.
But it feels completely polished and improved.
I mean, is it though? It's pretty much identical to the first one. And that's not even a bad thing. I just wish we wouldn't ignore that. Like, I'm someone who actually has no problem with the sequel having pretty much identical gameplay to the last game. I mean, I suck the dick of the Batman Arkham games every chance I get, and most of those are pretty interchangeable. Then you have games like Bayonetta and God of War, or, you know, the old God of War games that are pretty much identical game to game. But it's the little things that make them change, you know? If you're going to say the gameplay is pretty much the same as the last game, but improved and polished, you're gonna have to qualify that, which I'm sure you're going to do very well.
So it's a linear, third-person action-adventure game where you have weapons and equipment.
Thank God you didn't call it survival horror.
And you collect materials to craft bombs, silencers, and other sort of stuff. You can also upgrade your abilities, and also you can upgrade your guns.
Sounds pretty similar to the last game.
Although it's a linear game, you can explore the environment where you can find new weapons and stuff.
Like the last one.
The exploration is very rewarding, so it doesn't feel like you're wasting your time.
It's subjective.
The gameplay is very immersive and gets extremely tense where you start breathing really, really heavy.
Wait, I thought you already talked about the presentation. Yeah, that scripted QuickTime event sure is tense and intense and hardcore gameplay. Are you fucking serious? You're talking about how great the gameplay is and then you cut out the commentary to show a QuickTime event? Do you understand what makes gameplay fun? Like, at all? And we're going right by. what I'm talking about. Yeah, man, the gameplay is great. No talk about the AI, no talk about the pathfinding, no talk about the difficulty, no talk about the difficulty curve, no talk about difficulty spikes, no talk about the shooting, how the frame rate interacts with the shooting, how the environment interacts with gameplay, stealth sections, stealth AI versus combat AI. There is so much here that you just didn't talk about. And as a way to assure us that yes, the gameplay's great, take my word for it, the gameplay is awesome, here's a 10-second clip of a quick time event. This is Kotaku levels of sloppy.
If you are completely blind, you can still play the game and enjoy it.
I mean, you can play it, I don't know about enjoy it.
If you are completely deaf, you can still play the game and enjoy it.
I mean, you can play it, I don't know about it.
If you only have one hand, you can still play the game and enjoy it.
I mean, you can play.
There are more than 60 accessibility options that you can play with. There is an entire web page that lists every single accessibility option that is available in the game.
And I completely support this. I know that may sound like a big 180, but I legitimately completely support this. The amount of accessibility options in The Last of Us 2 is amazing, and accessibility options don't hurt anybody. I would love it if accessibility options like this started becoming commonplace in other video games. This is great. Everybody benefits from this.
I highly suggest you go and check it out because this is really awesome. Most of us are lucky that we don't have any disabilities, so I really appreciate the fact that Naughty Dog took their time to make this game as accessible as possible. And personally, I think that this is something that should be mandatory in every video game.
Mandatory, I don't know about that. Creative visions and open markets and whatnot. But yes, the accessibility options in The Last of Us 2 are fantastic. Should this be a point for you to buy the game? I don't know about that one. But it is a nice thing that Naughty Dog deserves credit for.
On the other hand, you can customize the difficulty of the game as much as you want. So instead of having the typical easy, medium, or hard, or very hard, you can instead adjust how much resources you can get, how much damage you take, the difficulty of your enemies, the intelligence level of your allies, and the sensitivity of stealth.
Because Naughty Dog can't be fucked to balance their own games anymore. This is a positive thing. Yes, buy the game because no creative vision in the difficulty.
I actually had mine to have the resources set to spawn as much as possible while leaving everything else at moderate, which made the game much more enjoyable to me.
Wait, but I thought a big part of the game was survival and resource management. You see what I mean about how doing stuff like this just destroys the creative vision? Ooh, story. Bet you're gonna have a whole lot to talk about in this section, right?
While some people may think that it's not a perfect story, which is something I will get into later on, it is an intriguing story.
Intriguing is not good or bad. I was certainly intrigued by the story. I mean, just about everyone was intrigued. If I told you Doom 3 was going to be a tap dancing simulator, you also would be intrigued.
It is a captivating story. It is a story that will make you feel happiness, anger, sadness, empathy, fear, as well as any other emotion you can think of.
Really? Any emotion? Any emotion I can think of. How about pensiveness, or optimism, or submission, or awe, or contempt? I guess contempt fits. I know boredom. That one will definitely be in there. But you see what I was saying before about how people who defend The Last of Us 2 so often just give you really broad statements and then don't elaborate? Oh, this game makes you feel lots of emotions. The story will make you feel every emotion you can think of. Okay. Why is that a good thing? The Evil Within made me feel a lot of emotions too, and I fucking hated it.
The acting is top-notch, and there is deep character development, which makes you either relate to the character or at least feel like these are real people.
Who cares if they feel about real people if they're not fun to be around?
I would have made this section longer if I wanted to spoil the story, but obviously this is spoiler-free review, so there's not much to talk about here.
It's not like you were going into great detail in any other section anyways. Why'd you even clarify this? I'm gonna make this section shorter so I don't spoil anything. What was your excuse for the other sections then? And then we just move right along. So for the story, your main points were, it made you feel a lot of emotions, it's not perfect, and that's it. Great.
This section is where it gets really controversial because I will include some things that I personally don't agree with or don't really care about. But I know a lot of people care about these things, that is why I will include them. In my opinion, I think that it's a 10 out of 10 game because I personally don't care about these complaints, but I get why some people are upset with this game.
Why are you clarifying this? Like, why are you going on this big grand thing about how I personally don't feel these things, but I will include them anyways because other people do feel these things? Oh, okay. So, like an honest reviewer? I'm not going to give you a cookie because you weren't as dishonest as you could have been.
I understand why you would hate this game. This is the main complaint that everyone has.
Really? Joel was the main complaint? Like, I know Joel's golfing trip was the big complaint for a lot of people in this game, but I thought it was pretty equal next to other things, though.
Which is, although the game has a good story, you don't get to play as Joel. I mean, you get to play as Joel for 5 minutes in the beginning, and then he just gets killed. I was thinking of whether I should say this or not, because it's somewhat spoiling the game.
I mean, it's 2021, dude. You're talking about if you should buy the game in 2021. If you don't know Joel dies by now, like, honestly, I'm impressed.
But I think you need to know this before buying the game because it's the main reason why lots of people hate this game.
Okay, I take back the dishonesty thing. You are just being dishonest now. You think the main reason people hated this game was because Joel wasn't the main character? Like, you really think that's the main reason people hated this game? Or at least hated the story? Like, are you ever going to elaborate on anything you say? What is it with Last of Us fans and just being completely allergic to elaboration? Also, this screenshot looks like garbage. This looks like a PS2 cutscene. Naughty Dog is really good at making pretty screenshots, but fuck, don't pause their games in the middle of animations, because it's gonna look like this.
To some people, this is what they are expecting when they're deciding to buy the game or not.
Yes, I expected the game with Ellie on the cover and Ellie in all the promotional material. I expected Ellie to not be the main character. Like, really?
You get a lot of flashbacks where you play with Joel, and I think these were profound and awesome. But again, don't expect to play as Joel because the main story does not include Joel as a playable character for more than 5 minutes. In my opinion, I don't care that much, which made me enjoy the game because the only expectation that I had is a game that is set in the Last of Us universe. But I know lots of people are emotionally attached to Joel.
And Ellie. It's not like people weren't emotionally invested in Ellie too after the first game.
That they are expecting to play as him in this game, and that is something I totally respect.
It's weird. You're so close to getting it. You're so close to understanding. People really liked Joel because of the first game. People really liked this stuff because of the first game. But also, these criticisms, I don't know where they're coming from. Couldn't have anything to do with expectations from the first game. These things that I like were kind of like the first game. But these criticisms from the first game, what's the first game like? I haven't played the first game.
Happy birthday, kiddo.
What is this?
This is a thing that took a mighty effort to find.
Oh, goody.
I will talk about this without mentioning any examples because you can't say anything these days without getting completely scalded.
Well, except you, somehow. You just cracked the code, right? You can't say anything these days without getting completely scalded. 3,300 views, 6 comments. Yeah, that's legit.
So I have one thing to say. There could have been more subtle ways to inject these social messages into the game.
I mean, are there? The social messages that this game was pushing, like, are there subtle ways to do that?
Even a child can tell that these social messages were forced into the game. I don't usually care about these things, but I can tell that they were just forced into the game.
I mean, it sounds like you're taking issue with this, which is weird because you said it was 10 out of 10.
I am a person who can ignore these things, and I definitely did ignore them, and that is why I was able to enjoy the game.
Really interesting framing here. Listen to this. Like, he says, and this, I'm not even talking about the social messages of the game. I'm just talking about the way this guy views criticism. He said the game was 10 out of 10. He said there's something that he believes is wrong. He believes something was forced in here for no reason, but he was able to ignore it, so it's still a 10 out of 10. But earlier in this video, he said there's things other people didn't like that he disagreed with, but he's still going to mention them. So you acknowledge that there's things that a lot of people had issue with. You acknowledge that there are things objectively wrong with the game, but you're still giving it 10 out of 10 because you are able to ignore them. Like, do you legitimately see yourself as an honest critic? You're presenting these things one right after another, and it's just flying over your head that they're not compatible with each other.
But I just wanted to point this out because the way that this game does it is just disgusting.
The way this game does it is disgusting. 10 out of 10.
This is a minor complaint, and I am 100% sure that this will be resolved in the future.
24 hours later.
Unless they go with the same route of the first Last of Us game, which is remastering it so that you have to pay money for the game again.
Yeah, and apparently they're doing that again. Just keep double dipping the good one.
At the time I was playing the game, I had a PS5, and it was kind of disappointing that it doesn't have a PS5 enhanced version.
But I thought the game already looked next gen to you. I thought the game already looked picture perfect to you on the PS4.
It also doesn't help that the loading time in this game is just awful.
Oh, horrible loading times. Yeah, 10 out of 10. That's fine.
The loading takes so much time that it's the type of loading where you just leave the controller, go drop a deuce, and come back.
10 out of 10 game, by the way. The loading times are so bad that you have to go do something else and then come back to play the game. Yeah, 10 out of 10 game. It's great. Buy it.
But as I said, this is a minor complaint.
This is not a minor complaint. Abysmal load times is not a minor complaint.
That doesn't really affect the purchasing decision of the game, but I think there is a small minority of people who are putting off buying the game until the game gets a PS5 enhanced version.
Yep, that's all there is to say about that, I guess.
The Last of Us Part 2 is a game that sets the bar extremely high for future upcoming games.
No, it doesn't. It sets the bar for cinematic games, I guess. For like interactive movies, QuickTime event heavy games, but gaming as a whole, no. I can name 10 games off the top of my head that look better, play better, sound better, have better stories, better AI, better pathfinding, better stealth, better action, better shooting, better cover shooting, better crafting, better exploration. In what category does this game set the bar for really anything? Mocap, maybe? Like, the acting is really good, I'll give it that.
There are lots of great things that amazed me about the game, especially its exceptional graphics, immersive gameplay, captivating story, and the level of deep customization and accessibility.
Wait, the graphics are good, but you were disappointed by the no PS5 upgrade? I'm lost.
If you don't care about having Joel as a playable character and you don't care about seeing social messages here and there, I highly recommend that you buy the game because I think it will be one of the most enjoyable gaming experiences you will ever have in gaming history.
One of the most enjoyable gaming experiences in gaming history. Which is weird because didn't the director say they didn't want the game to be fun?
Otherwise, if you can't get over these 2 points, I really don't recommend buying the game because it will be a guaranteed disappointment.
So don't buy the game if you wanted to play as Joel or if you don't like social messages in games. Those are the only 2 reasons not to buy it. Got it.
It's been almost a year since this game came out, so make sure you get it used or at a discount. There are things that I have not covered in more detail because I don't want to be talking all day, and this video is already long.
And far be it from you to just ramble on about complete nonsense for a long time. You've never done that before.
It's also important to note that this video is 100% based on my opinion. That is why I would like to know in the comments if you disagree or agree with what I said, or maybe you have more things that you want to add. So please make sure you leave a comment. I read every single comment you guys leave.
Yeah, I'm sure you do.
Especially these long comments that some people leave.
No, you like long comments that people leave. It's just weird how much you harp on comments here. Because there's 6. And 2 of them are from you.
If you're not the type of guy who leaves comments, click on one of the videos on the screen right now. If you're interested in some merch, you can visit my store, linked in the description.
Let's look at your merch store, actually. I want to see this. Merch store. You know what? I'm not even gonna lie. This is some pretty cool merch. And respect for these prices, because these are very fair prices. I'm giving you 2 thumbs up with this one. Like, I'm not even joking. Like, this merch is kind of cool. I might actually buy a shirt. Anyways, this video is pretty much done, so I'm just gonna wrap this one up. Remember a while back when I made a video about how not to defend the things that you like? I really felt the need to basically make this video a follow-up to that one, because I'm just astonished that videos like this are still coming out. If you're going to defend a game that a lot of people don't like, if you're going to say a game that people don't, really not even if you're trying to go against the grain, but just like really if you're saying people should go buy a game, if you're saying a game is really, really great, you need to back that shit up. The same way that if you say a game is really bad, you gotta back that shit up. And I know that may sound hypocritical for me because I haven't done a full review of this game, but also I haven't claimed to do a full review of this game. I'm not telling you to do one thing or the other. I'm just trying to keep everybody honest. I'm just trying to keep reviewers doing their fucking jobs. And also, I don't get it. I just don't understand what it is with the Sony faithful that just makes them so allergic to elaborating their opinions. You say the game is great, you don't really give any concrete reason why. You say the game is 10 out of 10 despite citing multiple things that you recognize are objectively wrong. You say the game is perfect, you say the game is the most enjoyable experience ever, but then you list off a bunch of things that you were disappointed by. And you still recommend buying it. Like, what is this? Anyway, follow me on Twitter, I guess. Or donate or something. Maybe I'll make some merch. I gotta go poo. Toodles.